Do you think you're going to teach your future kid chess?
Probably not. At some point in the future, as I walk away from like streaming or playing chess, like I'm not gonna feel like I'm missing anything. If you look at countries like India, there's great potential. It's a blunder.
You had a recent announcement about your wife is expecting a child. Are you excited to be a dad? What was that like?
Well, it's kind of weird because I've known for a while. Yeah, there's that too. We are playing a game. So I've kind of known for a while before publicly announcing it, I think. So it doesn't change a whole lot for me since I've been ready for it for a bit, but certainly it is, changing in terms of the way that I've lived my life, certainly all different commitments, time-wise and chess-wise. So definitely things will be different, but I'm looking forward to it.
So how did you find out?
Well, I actually found out in Paris during the freestyle event there. So I kind of, it's funny because I found out there and it was at the same time that I think the rumor mill started regarding Magnus and his wife. Maybe it started a little bit earlier, but I definitely remember in Paris there was something going on. So I found out in Paris, but mostly kept to myself because right after that I went on vacation with my wife to Japan. So it was just something that I kept it pretty much to myself within the family, and then felt like actually one of the big reasons that I announced before this event was specifically because I did not want to end up in a situation where there was a bunch of speculation, similar to what Magnus had to deal with in the Paris event.
And do you think that learning about this during the event helped your performance? Was it related in any way?
I don't think it was related per se. I mean, my wife was not with me in the tournament in Norway, where I felt I did pretty well. The scoring system meant that I finished in 4th place, but I don't think it changed a whole lot for me. I mean, I have no doubt it will change a whole lot going forward, but at the moment, life seems pretty much the same. Although everyone's saying it'll be different, so I kind of suspect they're right, and I will have to make some changes. But for right now, everything's good. In general, because chess is becoming a game where it's younger and younger, you have to be extremely obsessive about it in order to get to a very good level. And I wouldn't really want that for my kid, where they're sitting at a computer all day trying to play chess. I mean, I know that probably sounds very strange, but I think there are so many other things. I think if you look at where the world is going, things related to AI and coding and programming specifically are much more worthy of time, I would say, than chess. I mean, that'll make for a good soundbite.
So you have a lot of fans and people who watch you. What's one thing you think that the people who watch you don't really understand or know about you?
I think actually the biggest thing, and I don't know if this is an American thing specifically or not, but when I say things very specifically about how being a content creator has changed sort of the dynamics as a chess player, where I don't have to rely on playing chess to earn a living, or where I talk about not playing an event, I think many people just assume automatically that I'm such a competitor that I always want to play. So like when I say something along the lines of I'm like going to like retire from classical chess, or I say something along the lines of what else is there, or like a tournament doesn't matter, I think many people don't understand that that's how I truly feel. And maybe that's an American thing, but certainly when you live in America, and this also will make for a good soundbite, no doubt, when you live in America and really there is no safety net, you have to earn as much as you can. I mean, you don't live in a world where the system takes care of you. Specifically, you look at healthcare, like, my grandmother who was in California, we were paying probably $3,000-4,000 a month for assisted living towards the end of her life. And so it really is a situation where it's all or nothing. You have to do as much as you can. And so I think a lot of people don't understand that dynamic. I don't know if it's because most of my viewership is perhaps outside the US, or it's just they think that I'm that much of a competitor. But ultimately, when I talk about those things, like I like playing chess, but it's not that big of a deal to me. Like I could gladly stop tomorrow. And I think also a lot of people mistakenly assume that I really want to be famous or relevant forever, and I don't actually. It's nice to have that to some degree, but certainly it's not something that I crave. I think at some point in the future, as I walk away from like streaming or playing chess, like I'm not going to feel like I'm missing anything. And many people, I think, they don't listen to what I say about professional chess, and they definitely don't listen to what I say about like the future.
So if you had to start all over again, would you still do exactly what you did with your career?
Well, if you ask whether I would play chess again, I mean, I think the answer is yes. You definitely can't go back and change things looking at it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with my career. I think I could have perhaps been a better chess player maybe if I had taken it more seriously at certain moments, but I think if I had taken it more seriously at certain moments, I never could have become a content creator because the amount of time that I spent going to school or having other interests, that's just, that never would have occurred. So it's kind of like a catch-22. It'd be nice if I could go back and do some things differently, but I know that if I did that, I never would have been a content creator. And I think being a content creator, if you're able to make it, is one of the most rewarding jobs that you can have because it gives you this freedom to be your own boss, to work whenever you want, and that's really, I think, that freedom is something that most people will never have, and so I'm very grateful for that.
And what's your favorite part about your job?
Favorite part about my job is probably the fact is that I can make my own schedule and very specifically pick the chess tournaments that I want to play versus having to play tournaments like I did in 2018-19. Back then I was traveling, let's say 250 plus days a year, which is way too much. So when you're traveling that much over the course of a year, there's a lot of wear and tear, and I think being able to not have to travel, being able to pick and choose what I want to do is it's a great feeling.
Oh my. Okay, maybe next game I'll give myself some increment.
But didn't you start playing chess a few years ago?
I started playing chess maybe about 3-ish years ago.
Not bad, not bad.
I love chess more than anything. I wish I discovered the passion sooner, but it is really interesting.
It's a double-edged sword.
How so?
Because I always like to say that people who are like 17 or 1800, they enjoy the game more than say a professional player, because there's always something you can learn. Once you get to the very top or the upper levels, I would say like strong Gm, like 2600 plus, there's very little really that you can learn. You can do puzzles, but most of it I would say is around memorization of opening theory, and beyond that, I mean, there just isn't anything you can specifically learn. Now, I do think that might change with AI perhaps, but overall it's just, you know too much. You aren't gonna have those wow moments, and I think being able to have wow moments is very special. And so, like on some level, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm envious, obviously, but I do kind of wish that I could have some of those moments in chess the way that lower rated players are able to.
So if someone came to you and was like, I want to be a professional chess player, I'm young enough to make this decision, how would you tell them to go about it?
I would say you should never think about being a professional. Actually, I've seen it a lot. My stepfather teaches chess full time, and the amount of parents who think their kid will go on to become the next world champion, I've heard a lot from Sunil, my stepfather, and I think you just have to enjoy the game and see where it takes you. Any ideas of becoming the best, the moment you have those delusions of grandeur, bad things are going to happen.
Bad things are going to happen. Okay, so that's the general thing, and I guess you'll know pretty quickly if you're going to be at the top or not.
Well, that's actually, I think, a big problem is that you don't know. So it's like the chess has so many levels. You start off playing, and there, at the very start, you can beat like 90% of the people that you play against. But then as you get better and better, you always run into someone who's stronger than you, and it's very tough to deal with that psychologically. But then also beyond the psychological phase of it, you're about to run out of time. But it's okay. You didn't get mated. You played pretty well.
We flagged, but it works.
It was a good game.
Good game.
We'll do one more.
One more. Yeah, thank you.
That was a good game.
There we go. All right, I think I'm gonna do the exact same thing here. So
I'll get creative.
What's your favorite animal?
Favorite animal? I would have to say a lion.
A lion, why?
I think mostly because I view myself to some degree as a type of leader. I definitely like to be in charge, and I think, and it's actually funny I should say, 'cause I think the female lion usually is the one that goes out and hunts and does everything, but that's beside the point. But generally I just think lions are they're the big animal in the wild. I feel like most other animals are a little bit afraid of them, and they kind of are in charge. So that's why I say a lion.
Do you have a pet, and would you ever have a pet in the future?
I don't have a pet. Growing up for a period of time, I considered it. We looked at maybe getting a dog, but ultimately I traveled too much, even from the time I was about 14, 15, so it was never a real consideration per se. I was lucky that my grandmother, who I saw quite a bit when I was younger, she had some dogs and some cats, so I was always around animals as a kid, but I don't really see a world where I could have them, because I think I'll always probably travel a fair amount, and this doesn't mean all the time, but if you are traveling, it's not really fair to have a pet, because they do need you to be around.
Does all the traveling get exhausting at times?
Nowadays it's not that big of a deal, although I do get more tired from it. I think certainly from like 2015 through through 2019, it was simply way too much. I was traveling every week practically, and that's just when that happens, you're never going to be really fresh, both mentally and physically. And then also when you try to play chess, you sort of start to feel like, what are you doing? It becomes just this routine of just like, what's the point? What are you even doing?
And I know there's been a lot of talk. Did I just fall for that again? No, I
Similar.
didn't.
It's still 92. Yeah.
There's some options.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of talk about how chess players in the top 100, not all of them can make a living. What are your general thoughts on that?
I think it's disappointing. I would say that it would, considering the amount of time that people have to put into chess, certainly you would expect more people to make a living from it. On the other hand, it's difficult because chess is at the end of the day, I should say, a board game. So it is a board game, and because it's a board game, it's kind of hard to argue that it should be treated the way that a professional sport is. But certainly, I think there's a path to a world where maybe the top 50 could make a living, but certainly that's going to revolve around educating the public on how difficult it is, and whether that can be done, it's kind of unclear to me at the moment.
And in something that kind of relates to that, would you say that chess has reached its peak popularity, or is there a chance to grow?
It depends what the metric is. I think if you look at the Western world, which I think is what most people tend to focus on, it has peaked. I don't really see it growing much more from where it is. That being said, I think if you look at countries like India, there's great potential, especially with the talented junior players right now. So the game could definitely become much bigger. But it's all relative in terms of what that metric is, because I think people sometimes look at it as viewers or viewership, and I think that there will always be booms in chess. There will always be moments when there's a great interest in the game, and so I still am optimistic that chess can continue to grow. It's just never going to have the big pop off the way it did before.
And speaking of Indian chess, why do you think India is having that growth in chess right now?
So I think it's because it's similar, I would say, to Norway. It's a little bit different, but in India, I think that when you compare them in a lot of fields, not academically, sorry, I should say, physically, like sports, they generally are not at the top. Obviously, you know, they're very good in certain academic fields, but certainly, if you look at sports, I feel like India, maybe they get one or two, maybe they get, like, if they're lucky, I think they get 1 or 2 gold medals every Olympics. And also India is an emerging market as well. It's a country where it's part of the developing world, it's part of the BRICS, and with that being the case, there's a lot of pride when they succeed in something that is like, you know, a foreign sort of game or something that's dominated by other countries. And when you have all these great players who have become so strong, thanks in large part to Vishy Anand's efforts as a great ambassador of the game, I think a lot of the Indian fans, they feel pride in seeing their people do very well. And unfortunately, I don't think that's applicable in most countries. You look at a place like the United States is so good at so many sports and so many fields that just even if one of us, say Fabi or I, were to become world champion, I still don't think there would be a huge boom. And I also think I have good reason to say that, which is in 2018 when Fabi did play the match for the world championship. You know, I think many people expected there to be more interest, and there really wasn't. It was kind of a dud in a sense. I mean, if you were into chess, you were following, but there were not news articles every day. And so I think that it's very unlikely that you can reach that. But in a place like India, they love their chess players, and you have a lot of them too. It's not just like 1 or 2. You have 3 already. You've got many others in the pipeline who could become 2,700 plus. And with all those players, there's great potential.
And what would you say is your absolute go-to when it comes to preparing for a chess tournament? Anything you do to hype yourself up before a round?
Nothing specifically. I think that mostly if there's anything I do, it's just trying to stay really, really calm. The one thing that I would say is pretty consistent is that when you start feeling the nerves or the pressure, bad things tend to happen. So I try very hard not to allow that. I think it's a blunder.
I think that is a blunder, yeah.
It's on
Not
move.
Not my favorite there. Let's see. How do I get rid of my hanging knight at the moment? I'm just gonna go here. Hopefully nothing bad happens.
Not bad.
All right, and when it comes to family life, what's your favorite thing to do when you're not playing chess?
Well, I mean, I spend a lot of time making content, whether it's live streaming or videos. So I would say that if I'm not doing that or I'm not competing in a tournament, probably my favorite thing is just to occasionally watch TV shows with my wife on Netflix, actually. So that's one of the things.
So what's your go-to show?
Well, we recently wasted a bunch of time watching Prison Break. My wife had never seen it before, so we spent many hours recently watching that show.
Well, Prison Break is a really fun show. I remember loving it when I was watching it.
It's a good show for the first two and a half seasons, I would say.
And what's your favorite show of all time?
Favorite show of all time, I would probably have to say The Wire. The Wire and maybe Breaking Bad would be a close second. Those, I think, easily are the top two for me.
I do not like my position anymore. It's
Not great.
It's not looking. Oh my! All right, that is a legal move that can be done. I am just going to. Let's hope I don't get mated. And what do you think is like the place where amateurs blunder the most? Is that under time pressure?
Definitely under time pressure. That's a big part of it. I think also when there's tactics in the position, a lot of amateurs, it's like you don't really calculate as well as a top player.
And is that part of being a top player? It's not just the chess skill, but also the psychological, being able to handle everything?
Definitely, that's a big part of it. It's not just about the calculation. You really have to be focused too.
Do you think people understand that?
No, definitely not.
I flagged the game.
Yeah, but this one would have ended pretty soon.
I think it would
There
have
are a lot
too.
of weaknesses here. Like you can go like bishop g3, but then knight h5, and I'm gonna go rook e7, rook g7, and this king on g2 is very weak here.
Yeah, probably wasn't the best en passant.
Yeah,
there.
f4 was a bad move. It was already kind of bad, but still, you weren't losing out of the opening, and I think that's very good considering this isn't regular chess.